This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Welcome, listeners. This podcast is safe for first-time readers because it's made by a first-time reader. I'm your host, Dani, and I'm the one who's taken on the task of reading through this 15-book mega-series. I'm joined by my co-host, Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's acting as my tour guide on this journey. Before we get into our episode today, we want to welcome Bill Gibson and Neil Main to the Wheel Weaves Patreon team. We're really excited to have your support. Thank you so much for your contribution and your generosity to help make the Wheel Weaves even better. This episode, we're going to be talking about Chapter 27 and 28.
Yeah, double chapter episode.
Cool, except this time, hopefully, we actually get through.
I'm pretty sure we can.
Yeah, these are pretty short chapters with... they each have an exciting event.
Yeah.
But there's not tons around it.
The way I kind of think of it is on a roller coaster, we just went over a big drop and now we're on the way back up again. So we're building right now.
We're chugging.
Yeah, chugging along to the next build up here.
Right, so, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I actually have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you want to do your fun fact first?
So today's fun fact is about Robert Jordan and his military career.
Okay.
And I just wanted to point out the medals that he received for his service. I thought it was an interesting note.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I got the 4 medals that he was awarded. So first one he was awarded was the Distinguished Flying Cross, and he got that for heroism and extraordinary achievement while participating in an aerial flight. The second one he received was a Bronze Star for heroic achievement, heroic service, meritorious achievement, or meritorious service in a combat zone. And the last 2 were the same. He got 2 Vietnamese gallantry crosses, and those were both in recognition of deeds of valor or heroic conduct while in combat.
Wow.
Yeah, so 4 medals while over.
Go RJ.
Yeah.
But if I were Lan, I would say, ugh, useless. Right?
Probably, right? The militia.
Yeah.
Lan probably has tons of medals.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun little fact there for you.
Yeah, that's good.
So what's your question?
Okay, so I want to know, before we start this chapter...
Okay.
I want to tag this on to last chapter.
Okay.
It's a question that has been sort of ringing in the back of my head because I keep on going back to the maps.
Sure.
And so Rand and Matt had just left Whitebridge, running away from the Fade, and they're instructed to run straight to Caemlyn.
Yeah.
Basically. Don't stop until you get to Caemlyn. Go to Caemlyn. But on the map, there's a place called the Four Kings, or just Four Kings.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, there's been no mention of this place. So is that, a city that they are still going to have to come to? Are they going to have to go through there?
Yeah, it's a town.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's by no means as big as Caemlyn, because Caemlyn's the capital.
Yeah.
So the Four Kings is notable, but it's a small town.
Right, because when it sounds like, run straight there on the Caemlyn Road, well, it's actually quite a long road.
Yeah.
And there's a whole town, it seems like, in the middle. That's going to cause maybe another issue. But
yeah, possibly, right?
I'm just finding it interesting that there's been zero mention of it. There's been tons of talk of going to Caemlyn, and there's been talk of Whitebridge, and there's talk of Baerlon, and there's talk of everywhere along all the roads, and then there's just zero talk of Four Kings.
Small town.
I guess that's what my question is to you.
The confusing part is that all the dots of the cities and towns, they're all the same size dots, so there's not really anything to distinguish between the size of Whitebridge, Four Kings, Caemlyn.
But the fact that it's a dot on the road makes me seem like it's bigger than just a village.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's just my question about that.
Okay. Yeah, they will have to pass through, potentially, if they make it that far.
Okay.
Along the road.
Gotcha. So. Okay. Yeah, that was just my thought about that. Because I hadn't heard any mention of the Four Kings place.
Well, just, read and find out.
Yeah, one of those, hey? Okay, so I think we should get right into Chapter 27. We have quite a bit to talk about today.
We do.
So, shelter from the storm.
And we have the 3 leaves on a vine again.
Right, I just said leaves, ...
Yeah.
I don't know.
We get that a lot with, Tinkers, and a little bit with, I think we got it with Nynaeve.
So I guess my question about the title of this chapter was, is this going to be like a literal thunderstorm, or is it like a figurative storm, right?
Yeah, from reading the chapter, I would say figurative, like
yeah, because by
storm.
the end, I think,
yeah,
where's the storm?
Yeah.
But especially shelter from it, right? So,
yeah.
Anyways, this is a Perrin chapter, and we last left Egwene and Perrin with the Tinkers and Elias.
Mm-hmm.
And my question before was about sort of how long they stay set up in a camp for.
Yeah, we kind of went off on a...
And turns out the answer is they move and travel almost every day.
Yeah.
But at like a very leisurely pace that actually quite pisses Perrin off.
Yeah, but then also sometimes they'll camp out somewhere for months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So they kind of offhandedly mention like, yeah, we might stay here for... several months.
Extended period of time or whatever. But this time they are just sort of leisurely strolling through the woods with their wagons. And
it's like they don't get up until like noon and they stop in the mid-afternoon. So it's like a couple hours of traveling per day.
Yeah, and any suggestion to go faster and they say, but would you make the horses work so hard? So, sounds like some spoiled horses, if you ask
a little
me.
bit, yeah.
So we get a lot of description here about the Tinkers and how they are so joyful on their feet as if they are always on the point of dancing. Just generally really happy and pleasant as a group of people.
Yeah.
So they're always playing songs. The children are basically playing without caring about much, playing with the dogs. And then we get a contrast with Elias, who is quite gruff and heavy on his feet and often lops ahead, kind of like a scouting wolf.
Yeah, it's kind of like the dangerous, I think they describe it as dangerous grace. So you can kind of imagine a person running like a wolf where you're a little bit hunched over.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like the way the wolf runs, right? So,
yeah, so quite the contrast to these sort of light.
And I think it's really cool or noticeable that Elias clearly has wolf-like traits. Mm-hmm. It's like you spend so much time with wolves, you kind of pick up how they move and how to get along with them is almost like to become one of them.
Well, yeah, even his eyes are wolf eyes.
Yeah.
So that's saying something.
Yeah, definitely.
So Perrin notes that the traveling people are sort of wary of the Emmonsfielders behind their smiles, and even more wary of Elias, but they never say anything. Perrin is actually quite good at picking up, the nuances of people. Somebody who doesn't look beyond smiles, for example, wouldn't pick up that these aren't just a bunch of very happy people.
Yeah, and considering he's the guy who everyone always says is, slow to think and everything like that.
No, it's almost like he's taking in more. He's very, very observational.
Meticulous about it,
Yeah, he's very, has good observation skills, because he can see when a smile almost stops but then doesn't, kind of thing, right? Like when, Elia clearly... No, that's not her name. Isla? That's the one, whatever. I mixed up Elias and now I lost it. What? Isla? Oh, whatever. Anyways, she doesn't like him.
Remember back in chapter 1 when you're I love these 3-letter names.
Yeah.
You did say that.
Well, comparatively, yeah.
Yeah.
But no. At some point, then later on, I say I hate these 3-letter names because I can't say them in the podcast with Tam, Rand, Matt.
Lan, Ban. I think it's important to note that the wariness from the traveling people also kind of stems from the fact that they live by the way of the leaf. Their way of life affords nothing for protecting yourself.
No.
So it makes sense that they would, on the outside be joyous and lighthearted, but really there's this hidden danger lurking behind the fact that you have literally no way to protect yourself if these people you're letting into your camp decide to attack you.
Yeah, but here's my question to you. Have you ever met somebody who is just so nice that you want to punch them in the face?
I have met people like that.
Yeah, so that's not good protection either. I'm just going to punch you because you're so freaking annoying.
Yeah.
Have a negative thought once in a while.
I don't think you'd be let into the Tinkers camp.
No?
Just going to put that right on record.
I really wanted to be.
Yeah. You're kicked out of the club.
So Elias is always sort of has a look of wanting to be anywhere but there. And I think that this is sort of his thing about not liking being around people too much.
Yeah.
And these people.
Yeah, I was going to say specifically these people too, because they're so different.
Yeah. So Perrin actually suggests that they leave and go off on their own. So he's feeling guilty that they may bring harm to these innocent people if they stay there. And then plus, if they're on their own, they can go way faster.
Yeah, they can go faster. Now, the question I originally asked you was when Elias first found the camp of the Tinkers, I had asked you, like, do you think that Elias is doing this intentionally, meeting up with them, or was it happenstance?
Right.
Right? Did they just happen to run into them? And at this point, it kind of seems like Elias is at least staying with the Tinkers for literally Egwene and Perrin's sake.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing it because it's probably harder to feed 3 people in the wilderness versus just, like, himself.
That's right. He does say that they'll eat way better and they'll rest better for now if they stay. But then plus, quote, something is telling him that they need to stay a little longer.
Yeah.
And Perrin is so insistent on finding out what this something
Doesn't
is.
like the gut feeling,
No, but Elias says that it is just a gut feeling. Like, he knows it's not time to leave yet, and he'll know when it is.
Yeah.
And this reminds me of the way he describes how the wolves communicate.
Okay.
Like with feelings rather than words.
Yeah, so it's like emotional or...
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the way he's used to communicating.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that kind of comes down to the whole instinctual nature of wolves, too.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of animal feeling is instinctual. So, obviously wolves are portrayed a little bit differently in this series.
Right. And interestingly enough, in human brains, that part of the brain, that instinctual place that sort of communicates that sort of fight or flight or freeze reflex, doesn't communicate with the language part of your brain.
Which makes a lot of sense.
And I learned this a while ago, like a long time ago, and so I don't actually have the words for it.
Okay.
But someone can correct me if I'm completely wrong, but I know the theory behind sort of your gut instincts, and when you have a feeling about something, it's your brain actually understanding that something isn't right or something
connecting
is right,
some dot.
but it doesn't have language to tell the rest of your body that.
Yeah, I can totally understand that, because even in real life, like, I've had those things where you feel something is off and you can't describe it. Mm-hmm. But you know or you feel that something just isn't quite right.
Yes.
Especially when dealing with other people.
Oh, yeah,
that happens
sure.
a lot, too.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, but it's interesting that Elias has these feelings here, and he says that his feelings are important, and he doesn't get feelings specifically like this very often. And so he says that it saved his life in the past, and he can't describe it, but if Perrin wants to go on, then he should, and Elias is gonna stay here for a few days longer.
Yeah, that's like really holding to your gut.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can definitely respect that.
And I think he knows Perrin isn't running off on his own anytime soon. So Perrin sort of harumphs, and he doesn't like this, and he can't really relax because he's too worried that Trollocs are going to come and butcher these people who have been so kind to him. And he also is annoyed that he can't get Egwene alone to speak with.
Yeah.
Like, she's always off with Isla or Aram, and he's just basically left on his own to worry in his anxiety brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not left completely alone, which we find out.
Mm-hmm.
But...
Because one night...
But before we get into that...
Oh, I want to start talking about it!
I promise we'll spend time there. I just wanted to point out that Perrin actually has like a totally legit feeling that his presence is endangering these people.
Yeah.
Because like the Dark One's after you, and if Trollocs come, he is legitimately going to get everybody slaughtered.
Yeah.
Like, they won't fight back, and the Trollocs can outrun, at least or keep pace with, horses for a while.
Yeah.
So if Trollocs do come on them, that's it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, like, he has a legitimate concern.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
But Elias says no.
Yeah.
And I feel like they'd be alerted to Trollocs way sooner.
With the wolves,
With the wolves. I think that Perrin isn't used to having sort of that level of protection.
Yeah.
Because they have Lan's sort of safety sense antenna.
Yeah.
Which is like a quarter mile.
Or like a sense of smell.
Yeah, right?
Like wolves, yeah.
But wolves, I think, will... Like, they're roaming all around. and they'll be able to communicate
if they smell something coming.
That the Trollocs are there, and they'll fight and hunt the Trollocs also.
Yeah.
And then the fact that there is a wolf pack is going to deter Trollocs as well. Not necessarily keep them away, but perhaps deter them.
They do have that little extra level of security. So.
That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, Perrin is completely justified in having these thoughts.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so...
back to the fun part.
Yeah.
Perrin and the girl.
Not fun for Perrin.
Well, oh my god, okay, yeah.
Not fun for Perrin.
Not fun for Perrin. He should
it.
Be having fun with this.
No, he hates it though.
Yeah.
And I think that that's Egwene's problem with Perrin, is that she's just embracing it.
Yeah, and
she's
he can't let loose.
He can't relax. And so a girl starts dancing this sort of slow dance to like slow beating drums.
Did you figure out what it is?
Like belly dancing?
It's belly dancing.
Yeah, because she's got like a shawl. And...
she has the shawl outstretched behind her, undulating hips, bare feet shuffling to the drums, turning in small circles. So this is totally like a kind of Robert Jordan description of
belly dancing.
Belly dance. Yeah.
That's so funny. But she keeps looking at Perrin, and even when she turns around, she's looking over her shoulder at him.
Yeah.
And this whole thing is so funny. Because,
he's so innocent.
Yeah, he just is like, oh, what the fuck?
Like, he doesn't even at first pick up on the fact that she's at all doing this for him.
Yeah, and that she's like sexy, and that this could be enjoyable.
Yeah.
And you could, this is a dance for you to sort of, maybe this is how they show affection sort of thing, because we later learn that they don't do this often.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it might be a way for them in their sort of culture to show attraction.
Yeah, to like make the first move.
Yeah, not like a mating dance. I don't want to like. It's not like birds.
No, but it's like a hey, I'm interested in you.
Yeah, it might be a cultural thing, and he's just like so embarrassed.
Which is kind of funny because like he's coming from Emmons Field, which is like super conservative.
Oh yeah.
Where
it's like, will you dance with me at the pole in the afternoon?
Yeah.
When we're gonna get married.
Yeah.
Like that's.
It's like that's the marriage dance.
Yeah.
And like the girls have to wait till they can even braid their hair. Like, never mind. It's like the whole showing an ankle situation.
A little bit, yeah. Because at this point, another girl joins, and Perrin notes that he's never seen anyone dance to a slow song before, especially not like this.
Yeah.
He is blushing like crazy and hates it so much, and he tries not to look at them, but they just move over, like, to his line of vision, no matter where he looks.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. And then a third girl joins and gives him a wink, and he just wishes, like, a wind would blow to cool him down. Like...
I can, like 12-year-old me can I can actually probably even say, like, 16-year-old me can even relate, but, yeah.
Yeah, he thinks about how he has no idea what to do, and again, with thinking that Rand would know what to do.
Yeah.
Because Rand was always good with the girls.
This is like the little thing that keeps coming back that I love, that they always think their buddy is way better with the opposite sex than he is.
Which is so funny, because in Rand's head, like, no.
Yeah.
He would be acting probably the exact same way.
Yeah, it's like foot in your mouth.
I think it even would take Rand longer to even realize that this is like a sensual thing that's happening.
I totally agree.
But so eventually Perrin just closes his eyes and refuses to watch, which is
like the only thing I can think of is like if a strip club existed and Perrin had to go to one
and he would just sit there with his eyes closed.
Oh man, that'd
be so funny.
Oh man.
So but Rain actually tells Perrin later that the girls don't often dance like that. And thanks to his blushes, they dance like that every night after, just for Perrin. And Elias seems to enjoy it.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And I don't know. It's a cross between just like creepy, gross man and like funny making fun of Perrin.
I think it's further to the second side of that than
because he just like laughs at Perrin.
Yeah.
So
I think he gets the humor in it.
Yeah. But Perrin learns that it's just better to just not look at the dancers. And he thinks about how it would be better if it was maybe just one of them. But then now there's like 5 or 6 of these giggling girls dancing for him, and Perrin is just so sure that everyone is just laughing at him.
And then like one older lady comes in to like
show them how
done.
to do it.
Yeah,
and then
the
at
best
some
part,
point, Egwene joins them and starts to learn the dance.
Which is fantastic.
Perrin hates this so much, and I'm getting serious older brother vibes
from
Perrin.
Yeah.
Right? And it actually kind of reminds me of when Rand scolded her for not having her hair braided.
Yeah.
Like, what would the women's circle think?
None your business.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, too, because Tyler mentioned the fact when we had him on as a guest that Egwene is a total sponge for, taking stuff in, because she's super excited to learn from Nynaeve, then Moraine, and even coming into this, with the Tinkers,
but
she just absorbs it.
I'm going to put that back to the adventure is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, okay.
Or whatever. Because she chose to go and adventure and see other cultures and see the world and learn everything she can.
So you got to participate.
But Perrin is not here of his own volition.
He wants to be back at the forge in Emmons Field.
Yeah, anything to get this done and over with so he can go home.
Yeah.
And he'll be happy.
I think the most exciting thing that he is getting out of this adventure was when he recognized the type of horseshoe print.
Yeah.
That was the
that
most fun.
Reminded him of home kind of thing.
That was the best part of his trip so far.
That's true. That's fair. But Perrin also notices that when Egwene is dancing, that Aram is just staring at Egwene while she's dancing with a quote hot and hungry gaze.
Yeah.
Which is gross.
He's not hiding it.
No, but it's gross. But anyways, he resolves to keep an eye on that boy.
Yeah. Perrin does a good job because he's gonna say something to Egwene and decides it's better he keeps his mouth shut.
Until later when he doesn't.
But at this exact point, he doesn't say anything, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
He just didn't carry that
forward. But then later he scolds her. Yeah. Because they have a back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
And Egwene and Perrin says, what do you think you're doing? I thought you wanted to go to Tarvalon and be an Aes Sedai.
And if you're an Aes Sedai, you can't dance, but we saw Moraine dance already.
Oh, yeah. And she says, I thought you didn't want me to be an Aes Sedai. And then Perrin says, we aren't safe here, and neither are these people, and he just can't get that out of his head. And Egwene feels like whatever's going to happen will happen, whether they stay here or not. And she just tells Perrin to have some fun while they can, and then runs off with Aram, who gives Perrin a stupid smirk to say, she is not yours, and she will be mine.
Yeah, Aram's just a total...
Dick.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like Aram very much.
No, and I want to like him because I want to like someone Egwene is interested in and spending all her time with.
Yeah.
The issue is he feels as though on a level he's competing with Perrin, and he's not. Egwene is not interested in Perrin. Perrin's not interested in Egwene.
It is an older brother vibe, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and so if anything, sit around and try to chat with him.
Yeah, Aram could do this one of two ways, where it's Way of the Leaf and be friendly towards Perrin.
Yeah.
To win him over.
He's definitely not being Way of the Leaf, man.
No. And that's Rain kind of mentioned that he has a hard time with it. Even the fact that he's that competitive towards winning in quotations Egwene.
Winning Egwene.
Yeah.
Which is gross in itself.
Yeah.
Right? Because she's choosing to go with him. Yeah. It's not like Arm is doing anything to win her.
Yeah.
Right? She's going...
Except showing up and being attractive necessarily.
Yeah. Right, but that's the same thing that Egwene did.
Yeah.
She showed up and was attractive.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know. So Perrin is actually thinking that Elias was right about how the traveling people don't need to convert people to the Way of the Leaf. It just sort of seeps into you.
Yeah, and I can understand that too, because it is it's an interesting concept.
It's peaceful.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
It's fun. You sing,
nice.
You dance.
Yeah,
you have a good time. It sounds fun.
It's kind of like when you go to a resort.
Yeah.
For 7 days and you're like, I love this life.
Yeah, I want to move to wherever because it's that's a very narrow scope.
And then after a while you're like,
yeah.
kind of want to go home now.
Yeah.
Like this was lovely, but I'm tired and sunburnt and hungover.
Yeah.
I can't keep drinking like this.
I am not responsible with an open bar.
Yeah, no. But anyway, Perrin is sort of left standing on his own in the cold, and Isla comes out to give him a green wool coat that she's like clearly knitted for him. I think.
Yeah.
That's what
it looks
seems
like that. Yeah.
And she keeps on saying it could fit better. But she's like glancing at his axe.
Yeah.
Like
as if that's making the coat too small.
Yeah, and sort of the way that all the Tinkers look at his axe, because he hasn't taken it off.
Yeah.
And they hate weapons.
Yeah, it's a tool for violence, right? Like, the only thing you can really do with an axe is, like, violent things.
Yeah, but he has actually seen enough now to know that he needs to keep his weapon, like, with him.
Smart.
In case a Fade or Trollocs come out of nowhere, and he wants to be able to protect himself. And he also wants to be able to protect these people, because he knows they're not going to protect themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is one of my favorite parts about the concept of the Way of the Leaf, because when it was introduced, I mentioned that it's a super controversial, like, issue surrounded in these books.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think a lot of people who read the books can take a really strong stance on either side. And I have to assume that, like, Robert Jordan, when he was writing in this concept, that he throws in his opinions for both sides of the argument. Because he served in the war, so I can only assume that he had both sides where he had to do violence, or felt like he had to do violence, and there were people on the other side saying, there's no reason for this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? So, like, probably some of his feelings
with my
are coming
limited
through.
knowledge of the Vietnam War.
Yeah,
or
just
any war.
Yeah, I was going to say
like,
any war in general, there's going to be people on both sides of it.
Yeah, that's true. And a little note of foreshadowing, because Perrin also notes that his dreams are normal here.
Yeah.
Normal nightmares without any Baalzamon or Dark One. And he also notes that he can feel where the wolves are every day. And he can feel the wolves' contempt for the dogs.
Yeah.
Which I just find funny.
Well, that's the second mention of that.
Yeah, it is. But his sense of the wolves is actually growing stronger every day now that he's aware of it. And so Dapple is really pissed off at this slow travel. And she's not completely on board with taking the humans south. But if Elias wants to do it, it must be worth doing. So she just wants to go. Like, wolves aren't made to roam. And Wind is being very impatient as well, thinking that Burn had the right of it to go. And Hopper seems like the protector wolf, who will do anything sort of to protect Dapple, the pack leader.
Yeah, and he's like the grizzled old, fighter guy.
Yeah. And all of this is clear in Perrin's mind, and he just hates it and wishes for it all to end.
Yeah.
So, now, this next part is a little confusing. And then I remembered my own rule. If it's confusing, it's probably a dream sequence.
Yes, because they don't do the clear distinction for a dream sequence here.
No, they do not.
Yeah.
So, Perrin has a dream that starts out in Mistress Luhan's kitchen. And Perrin is at the table sharpening his axe, which would never be allowed in the real world.
Of course not.
No, but Perrin knows that it's going to be time to use the axe soon.
Yeah.
Interesting
point.
Yeah. A wolf comes in and curls up between Perrin and the door, and Mistress Luhan is there cooking or something and doesn't even look up.
Yeah.
Okay. But then, all of a sudden, as if, it's like just the next sentence without any warning, Baalzamon walks into the kitchen.
Yeah.
And
hey.
Mistress Luhan just keeps on cooking. And I think here, in all caps, I wrote, "Oh shit, he found him. I wonder if this has to do with the Matt and Rand being found thing."
It's possible.
So crazy.
Because timeline-wise, it's really hard for us to line it up.
Exactly.
And we talked about this whole timeline situation.
Yes. I am going with it's likely that, unless it's explicitly stated.
Yep.
Like in the next chapter, they're at a point, but when they're talking about sort of what's happened, they're talking about the last couple days, or a few days after this, or this many days, then this happened. Mm-hmm. And they're very specific about it. And so I'm under the impression that if it's not expressly stated, then we're just sort of continuing on timeline-wise.
Yeah, okay.
That's the way I'm looking at this.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And this is immediately after the Fade showed up in Whitebridge.
So it all kind of makes sense that Baalzamon, found them.
Yes.
Okay. Which is why he could... And again, we've had mentioned...
Because they were all having the maze dream when they didn't know where they were.
Yeah.
But he found them. He saw, locked eyes on Matt and Rand.
And then how did he lock eyes with, Perrin?
Right.
That's the question,
That's
is
the
how
other
did
thing,
he find Perrin?
but I do think there is a connection piece.
Okay.
Because they're all having the same dream, no matter what.
So here's a question. So if Rand and Mat were found by, like, the Dark Friend or Fade or whatever it may be, because it could have been like a Dark Friend pointed out the fact to the Fade, whatever the situation is, then something alerted Baalzamon to Mat and Rand.
Yeah.
So did someone in the camp of Tinkers alert Baalzamon to the presence of Perrin?
I don't know.
Just making you think here.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one we know who isn't fully Way of the Leaf is Aram.
Yeah.
And we know he doesn't like Perrin.
That's true.
But that seems like a stretch to me.
Yeah, now I'm not saying, I'm not leading you down the fact that, like, Aram's a Dark Friend. That's not what I'm saying. But we have a whole huge camp of Tinkers.
I don't think it, personally, I may be completely wrong, but I really don't feel like it has anything to do with the Tinkers.
Okay.
I think it has everything to do with the fact that Mat and Rand were found, which I think puts kind of like a pointer target on Perrin,
can draw a circle on the map for, like, where you are, because who knows how it works in the dream world,
exactly,
right?
And they're really not all that far away, and I think that they do have some kind of sort of magical connection, if you will. I don't know how to
so, like,
really
proximity
say that.
of dreams or something like that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't even know if it's physical proximity.
Okay.
I don't now.
I'm just trying to narrow down.
No,
what your
I don't
thought
think
process
you're
is
understanding what I'm saying, because I don't think that it has to do with the physical geography of where they are.
Okay.
I mean, maybe that has something to do with it, now that we're talking about it. But what I'm thinking, my original thought was, Mat and Rand were found and seen, and obviously the higher-ups were told.
Okay.
And I think that there's a connection between Mat, Rand, and Perrin.
Okay, so that
like
connection.
Like a physical sort of magical bond between all of them.
Okay.
That alerted, like, almost put like a pinging, this is where he is now, like when you try and find your car in a parking lot and you put a thing on your car and it goes off, it's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And so it might have gone off to show that that's where Perrin is, because I think it's more magical.
Okay.
Than just,
like
probably in the
somebody
proximity.
saying, okay.
I don't think that's what it is.
Okay, I think, I got that.
Okay. Anyway, so back to this crazy dream.
Yeah, so Baalzamon here.
Walks in.
And the wolf guarding the door stands up, growls.
Yeah. And Baalzamon then says, "Is this what you have to protect you? I've dealt with this before, many times before."
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So he does the crook of his finger thing.
Yep.
And like he did that broke the rat's back.
Yep.
And the wolf bursts into flames.
Yes.
And Perrin frantically tries to put the fire out, and the wolf just falls into like a pile of ashes on the floor.
And at this point you have to ask yourself, how real is this wolf in the dream? Like, it doesn't seem like, Mistress Luhan is a real entity in this dream. No,
she just keeps on cooking.
Yeah, so that's like a real dream person.
Yes.
But this wolf and Perrin and Baalzamon seem like real entities in the dream.
Yeah.
So if he lights this wolf on fire, how does that translate to the real world?
Well, exactly.
And we find that out a little bit later.
But Perrin yells at Baalzamon to leave him alone. And Baalzamon says, "You cannot run from me." And we've heard this before.
Yes.
So he says, "If you are the one, you are mine."
So he still doesn't
know which boy he needs. And then Baalzamon says, "The eye of the world will consume you, and I mark you mine."
Yeah, very interesting phrasing.
Because the only thing we've heard about the eye of the world so far is that it can serve you.
And that it won't serve you.
Right.
And did they tell you it would serve you?
Yeah.
But here you're saying it's going to consume you.
So
doesn't really help.
No, that's bad.
Yeah.
So when Baalzamon says, "I mark you mine," he flings out his arm like he's throwing something, and a raven streaks at Perrin's face, and the raven pecks and pierces Perrin's left eye, and he wakes up with a start.
Yeah.
And right away, I'm worried that Perrin is going to be, like, blinded in real life or something, like when Rand pricked his finger and woke up with it bleeding. And so, no, it's not quite like that.
Yeah.
Because he wakes up and he can remember the pain and agony of it, but he doesn't feel it anymore, and there is no blood.
Yeah, so the only notable thing that is different between Rand's dream, where he wakes up with an actual injury, and this is that...
Self-inflicted?
Yeah, Rand did the wound to himself, and here Baalzamon does something to Perrin.
Right. So I actually say here that I think maybe this is the way that the Dark One marks you. Like some way to create like a bond or something.
Yeah.
Like maybe now he can see out of Perrin's left eye or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a whole thing when I first read the eye thing, because I know at some point Perrin's eyes change. Like that's a spoiler I do know. I don't know like why or how or what.
Yeah.
But then he gets pecked in the eye, and so I thought like maybe...
That's got something to do with it?
Yeah, and then I was thinking like maybe no one just has noticed yet. Or something. Yeah. But I really don't think that's it.
That's a maybe. That's a big maybe. So.
Yeah, anyway, so that's, I don't know, pretty terrible and terrifying for Perrin.
Yeah, there's definitely better ways to be woken up.
Yeah. Well, and just in general, like, this really just sounds like bad news.
Yeah.
And in this chapter, we're officially over the halfway mark. We crossed it last chapter.
Yeah.
And so we're heading in now to typically some really interesting things that happen in books in the second half.
Well, that's why I said we're kind of heading up the roller coaster right now to the second big crescendo of the book.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. But Perrin is started awake and sits up, so Elias has clearly alerted to something because he is right there squatting over Perrin.
Yeah. And
it is not dawn yet, so it is still dark out, and beyond the wagons, the wolves are all howling, and Perrin shares their sensations.
Yes.
And they're thinking pain, fire, hate, kill.
Yeah, and the fire is the really big question mark, because we saw the wolf get lit on fire in the dream, which would, be pain and fire.
Yeah.
We don't know if that would be hate and kill, but, like, was that a real wolf who, like, got killed in the dream?
Yes. Now, it's interesting because Perrin remembers the pain of getting pecked in the eye. He remembers the agony, but he doesn't feel it anymore.
So maybe if, the wolf in the dream felt that, but wakes up or something?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how
all the other wolves
can, like, feel that.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's an actual wolf who's in his dreams or just, like, a spirit wolf.
Yeah.
Like, Yeah,
I understand that for sure.
And then I don't know if he's waking up thinking about it, and then all the wolves start howling.
Yeah.
Because they've sort of, smelled his mind.
Yeah, like the Trollocs and the Dark Friends and all that stuff.
And then Baalzamon, and so everything that Perrin is like this rush of feelings and emotions, and then it all transfers.
Yeah, so is it all that, or are these emotions because of something totally separate?
Yeah, I didn't think that. It seems way too coincidental.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
Okay.
Because obviously I can't tell you what happens, and neither can you. So I'm telling you, I don't think it's something separate.
Not like Trollocs are attacking the wolves in the woods right now?
No.
Okay.
No, that's way too coincidental for me. For me. That just doesn't make sense.
Sure.
For my brain. So Elias says to get up, and it's time to go now. He knew when it was going to be time to go, and this is it. This is the time. So as Perrin is packing up his blankets and everything, Rain comes out of his wagon and stops halfway down the stairs just to stare at the sky very intently.
And this is really interesting how they describe it.
It's very interesting. So Perrin doesn't get what he's looking at, as there's nothing to see. And the Seeker says to Elias, they must change their directions, and he knows that Elias won't be coming with them.
So what Rain does it remind you of anything?
Min.
Okay.
Min sees things,
She sees visions or something.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that, and it reminds me of Nynaeve's, like, listening to the wind.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's like a combination, in my mind. It kind of, like, it feels like that, because Rain's clearly...
we just don't have much specifics on what listening to the wind entails.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and this is the thing. Listening to the wind is clearly what wisdoms have given the name to, like, channeling. And the question about Rain is that he's a seeker. So this is clearly like a title.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like a title that's based off of like a power
Perhaps.
that he might have of actually seeing. Now, clearly he's not like an insane guy or something, so I don't think it has to do with the power. But, Min's thing also isn't to do with the power. Perrin's wolf thing isn't to do with the power. So he could actually have some sort of ability to like...
Well, he clearly does. It's not a could thing, because he literally stares at the sky and he knows something's up.
Yeah.
He says there is something different about this day. And they're going to head east to the spine of the world, and maybe they will find a steading and stay there a while. And Elias agrees and says that there's never trouble that enters the steading, but the Ogier are none too open to strangers.
Ogier.
Okay. But they're none too open to strangers, which is another set of people in the East who don't like strangers.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's time for glossary definitions with Brett.
Oh.
Yeah, I did it this time.
You did your own. Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so steading is what it is. So Robert Jordan does a thing sometimes when the word is italicized, it's like a prompt to say there's a definition to go look at.
Okay.
So
really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sometimes, not all the time.
So your glossary definition is for steading.
Steading, because that's a word we haven't come across yet, but we have been introduced to Ogier.
Yes. Okay.
So just as a reminder, Ogier are those giant, like, non-human race that are like 10 feet tall, have broad, snouted, like, noses, tufted ears. Kind of like ogres, sort of. It's kind of funny. So anybody who wants to know what my mental image of an Ogier is when I first read this book, I was really big into Dungeons & Dragons, and it was still on edition, like, 3.5. So if you Google Ogre Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 edition, you'll see an image that was in the Monster Manual, and that's my mental version of what an Ogier is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'll show
I'm
you
still
afterwards.
accidentally picturing Shrek, so
yeah.
I bet yours is better than mine.
It's a little bit better, but also not proper.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll show you afterwards. So a steading is an Ogier homeland.
Okay.
So many steading have been abandoned since the breaking of the world. They are portrayed in story and legend as havens, and with reason. They are shielded in some way, no longer understood, so that within them no Aes Sedai can channel the one power, nor even sense that the true source exists.
Ooh.
Attempts to wield the one power from outside a steading have no effect inside a steading boundary. No Charlock will enter a steading unless driven, and even a Murdral will do so only at the greatest need and then with the greatest reluctance and distaste. Even dark friends, if truly dedicated, feel uncomfortable within a steading.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good place.
Yeah, it's just kind of a really interesting note that within a steading...
It's like I'm picturing, the cities under a dome?
Yeah, 100% what it is.
That's what I'm picturing,
You can literally mentally envision a dome over it.
Yeah.
And it's like a safe haven.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Very cool. And those are the people who can make things, right? They're like craftsmen or something.
Yeah, they're said
like
to be
that?
really good with like stone and craftsmen. So.
Okay. Cool.
Manetherin was said to be crafted.
By, yeah.
Or helped to be crafted by.
Right, and it would
Ogier.
make... No, I thought it was just so beautiful that it would make them wonder.
Yeah, they would come to like look at the wondrous architecture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they helped build it.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I can't remember 100%, so...
Oh, well. Anyways, back to this. So, Rain says that everyone is open to the traveling people, and even the Ogier... Oh, I want to say Ogier, and I'm not even French. I know, and I'm not, but... so even they will have pots to mend. So he invites Elias to breakfast first, and Elias says that there's no time, that they have to move on today too, like ASAP. So they argue for a bit because Rain has never let a visitor leave without a farewell feast. And Egwene comes out with Isla, and Perrin half expects her to say that she wants to stay with them, but of course she doesn't, and she goes to get her stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever on my mind that Egwene was going to stay.
No, it was on Perrin's mind.
Yeah, but like I never had a doubt that she was going to leave.
Neither.
So
no, if anything, I thought that Arm was going to try to come with them.
Yeah,
That's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
But...
oh, man, can you imagine that journey?
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking was the next twist.
Yeah.
But no. So yeah, Egwene goes to get her stuff. Rain says that they have to at least let everyone in the camp say goodbye. So Elias starts to protest, but then Rain is already running around from wagon to wagon, waking everyone up, and they have to endure handshakes and hugs from, like, everybody, and Perrin especially has to endure hugs from the women who had been dancing for him.
And he's kind of starting to feel some feelings here.
Yeah. He's sort of wishing that he's not leaving until he realizes how many people are watching.
Yeah.
Then he gets uncomfortable. But Egwene has been pulled aside by Aram, and Perrin can't make out what they're saying, but Egwene is shaking her head, and Aram is making pleading gestures, and then his pleading turns into arguing, and she continues to shake her head, and then she's rescued by Isla, who goes to yell at her grandson.
Yeah, and I have to say that Aram's not being very, like, way of the leaf right now.
No.
He's, like, throwing a tantrum.
Yes.
He's being a giant baby about this.
So he storms off, and Isla seems relieved that Aram didn't want to leave with Egwene.
Yeah.
Yeah, and me too, actually.
Yeah, I think that'd be bad for everybody.
Yeah, and it's just like, it would be a twist in the story that I just don't think is necessary.
Okay.
For right now. Like, there's already a lot going on, and, like, to throw in another sort of wrench.
Yeah.
I just don't see it being something I wanted to happen.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm happy that
good.
it didn't.
That's a good thing.
So after Perrin shakes everyone's hands twice and hugs everyone twice, they're finally able to get away. And I wanted to ask you what this reminds you of. I bet you're not going to know because you're looking into your book.
Yeah.
This reminds me of leaving my house with my parents back home.
Oh, yeah. Now that you say that, yeah.
Yeah, because even if we've already sort of hugged and kissed and said goodbye because I'm going to Walmart for some milk.
Yep.
They come running over and go, did we already hug? Okay, let's just hug again just in case. Wait, where's my hug?
And they wave at the window as we pull out of the driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very way of the leaf.
It is.
It's...
You know, I wasn't even picturing like a in real life thing.
The second that they were like, you can't leave without breakfast, I thought of my mom. Because my mom will say, do you want some breakfast? And I'll say, no, Mom, I'm going for breakfast. And then I'll go to get ready.
And she'll
then
have
I'll
made
come
breakfast.
out and she'll have made breakfast just in case.
Just in case you want to have breakfast before you go for breakfast.
Yeah, because she's just the nicest and sweetest.
You know what? And that's her. And
Yeah.
she's not going to change, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're good with that.
Yeah, so now you just have an extra egg sandwich in a baggie that you were never going to eat, but it was the thought that counts. But anyways.
So your dad listens to the podcast.
And my brother.
And your brother, but not your mom?
Well,
okay.
Probably this episode. They all know. It's not like a secret.
Yeah, this isn't a hidden
No, we talk about
thing.
it all the time. So Rain does a little goodbye thingy here, like
and
a saying.
Keep in mind, they had a very formal introduction.
Yeah.
So we got to have a very formal exit.
Gotcha. So he says, you came in peace, depart now in peace. Always will our fires welcome you in peace. The way of the leaf is peace.
And then Elias returns, peace be on you always, and on all the people. And then he hesitates and adds a little bit extra, which is interesting because he's clearly never said this with them before, but he knows it.
Yep.
And the extra part is, I will find the song, or another will find the song, but the song will be sung this year or in a year to come. As it once was, so shall it be again, world without end. And then Rain and all the others reply.
Blink in surprise.
Yeah.
And Isla is described as flabbergasted.
Because, again, he's never said this before, turns out.
Yeah.
But he knows it.
Yeah, and then all the other Tinkers just say this reply, world without end, world and time without end.
Yeah. And that's kind of a nice connecting dot because we know that the Tinkers...
When the world ends, the Dark One will be victorious, basically.
Yeah.
When time stops and the world ends, the shadow wins, right?
Or the shadow wins when time ends and the world stops.
Same thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Vice versa. But we know that the Tinkers are looking for a song that was lost in the Age of Legends, and if they find it, it's going to return them to the glory that they had during the Age of Legends.
Yeah.
So it's a fun little response that Elias has for them.
Right. So now it is finally time, and really time, for them to go, and Rain escorts them to the edge of the trees. He tells Elias that he must take care, because there is wickedness loose on the world this day. And Rain goes back, and Elias scowls, and Perrin and Egwene are just looking at him. And then he feels the need to defend himself by saying that he doesn't believe in their fool song, but there's no need to make them feel bad by messing up their ceremony.
And you know what? That's a good point. Just because you don't agree with something or believe in it, you can still be respectful towards someone's like religion or ideology or whatever it is.
Yeah. So Hopper, Wind, and Dapple come out to meet them. Not like dumb, frolicking dogs. But like distinguished meeting of equals. Yeah. So Perrin catches what the wolves are telling Elias, and they are saying Fire Eyes, Pain, Heart Fang, and Death. And so they are telling him about Perrin's dream, and Perrin did not want to think about the dreams, and he thought that the wolves made him safe.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, me too.
But turns out if
not so much.
Yeah, Balsamon can find you, then he can still kill the
wolves in your dreams.
The wolves in your dreams.
So the wolves hear him think this and say, not complete, except full heart, full mind, you still struggle, only complete when you accept.
So what did you think that means?
So I think the protection isn't complete until Perrin accepts and embraces this connection he has with wolves.
And he's clearly fighting it hard right now.
He's fighting it so hard.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense because he's not accepting it. He's trying to shut them out. He doesn't want to listen to it. He wants to like pretend that it's not a thing.
Yeah.
And it makes sense
It reminds me of another young woman we have who has a connection that she doesn't want.
Oh yeah, I wonder who that is. Maybe it's the person we're going to hear from next.
Right, maybe. But Perrin forces the wolves out of his mind, and then is surprised to find that he can do that.
Yeah, that's a new ability.
Yeah. He was determined to not let them back in again, but then he hears, even in dreams, and that makes me sad, because they're like, oh, you're shutting us out, man.
Well, and that's also like a really bad sign if that the wolves just told him, it's not complete until you fully accept us.
Yeah.
And then he, like, shuts them out completely.
Yeah, like, hurts their feelings.
Besides the feeling part of it.
Poor wolves.
Besides the it's the protection. Think more along that side than the wolves hurt feelings.
Yeah, that too.
Right?
And then, even in dreams, and he just ignores them. They set out on their way, and Perrin tries to strike up some conversation with Egwene, and asks her what she was talking about so much with Isla. And she says that Isla was giving her advice on becoming a woman, which is actually quite motherly, considering that she reminded Perrin of Mistress Alvir.
Yes.
Which is Egwene's mother. So she did take on the motherly role there.
Yeah, definitely.
And Perrin thinks this is hilarious and laughs, saying, no one tells us how to be men, we just are.
Yeah, and she's got the best... I love this comeback so much.
She says, that's probably why you make such a bad job of it.
Yep.
And Elias laughs. The end.
And I can say that that's probably a very accurate statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sort of left thinking, like, what storm?
Yeah, and that comes back to the metaphorical storm that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, Rain was clearly looking at the sky and, like, smelling the air, but it's not like he's saying, oh, there's thunderclouds over there, and there's going to be a big storm, so we got to go east.
No.
He's saying something's different, something's not right, we have to go in a different direction.
And is that the shelter they need to go seek from the storm, essentially, maybe?
Possibly.
Okay, because it was just a weird chapter title.
Yeah.
But I say we move right into chapter 28.
Yeah, let's do it.
Footprints in Air. And the picture is of the staff.
Yep.
Which most likely is Moraine's.
Yeah.
Because we actually haven't even seen Nynaeve with a stick. Like, I don't even know if she brought her thumping stick.
Yeah, the cudgel or the staff or whatever it is, we saw it originally with Moraine, and it's kind of been consistent
and it's Moraine's, like, power-up stick kind of thing. She, like, uses it to help her. But, okay, so we start off in this chapter from Nynaeve's perspective, and the three best friends.
Yeah, they are best friends probably by now.
Oh, yeah, and they're all coming up to the big white bridge, and it's such a happy, lovely time.
Oh, yeah.
Skipping and holding, you know, doing that whole arm lock thing. That's what I picture.
It's like Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Okay, so I assume that this is after Tom, Matt, and Rand have been there, just for timeline of the story.
Yeah.
And Nynaeve thinks about how this bridge is another legend, and then she thinks about how the warder and Aes Sedai don't even seem to care or notice it.
Yeah.
And she's very in her own head about how she's being perceived by these two. And she thinks that they will laugh at her if they see her gawking at the bridge like a country bumpkin.
And it's very similar to what, like, Rand, Mat, Perrin, and Egwene all thought that they were thinking when they even arrived in Baerlon.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar train of thought.
But I particularly like when the words country bumpkin come out in the writing. Like, I like that that is a saying in this universe.
Oh, definitely.
That's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But, so, we head back to when the three rode off together the morning after Shadar Logoth. So, we know that they're approaching Whitebridge, but Nynaeve's thoughts take us back to sort of talk about their entire journey.
Yeah, like what's happened so far.
Yeah, and so we get some background on what they've been doing. Turns out not much.
In her mind.
Yeah, there has been very little conversation on the journey, and Moraine tries to convince Nynaeve that she should go to Tarvalon and take her training, and she's still thinking about how she will go and take the training to use the power so she can use it on Moraine.
Yeah, it's like that
if
talk
any
of
harm
revenge. Yeah.
comes to the Emmonsfielders.
Yeah, it's kind of like she's making an excuse for herself why she's going to go to Tarvalon.
Yeah.
Like, she's going to go not because she wants to learn how to use the power,
No.
it's because she wants to learn how to do it
to fuck up Moraine.
Yeah, to get
Come
that
on,
revenge.
Man. Yeah, I don't know. So annoying. But anytime she thinks about what she might be able to do with the one power, she gets like angry with herself and immediately puts it out of her mind. So Nynaeve at one point had asked Moraine how she intends to find the boys who have lost their coins, and Moraine says that she will know once she's close enough, and the one with a coin, she'll be able to find it across the world as long as he still has it in his possession.
Yeah, so we kind of get a distance meter on that coin, and it's like half the world, basically.
Yeah, but the fact that the ones who lost their coin, she still has a sense of, even though the bond's been broken. It's not strong and it's not good, but she still has awareness.
You also have to think about that healing connection, where if you heal someone, there's an affinity developed. Yeah. And we know that she did some sort of healing when she, like, cleansed their fatigue.
Oh, that's true.
So we don't know if that was actually, like,
I
healing.
didn't even think about that,
Yeah. So maybe that also has a little bit to do with it.
Yeah,
but
I could see her doing that on purpose, sneakily, so that she can keep track of
like,
everybody.
I'm going to clear your fatigue and heal you a little bit so that I can develop that affinity.
Yeah, especially because that wasn't made known. Like, there was no consent there for that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm going to bond myself to you without you knowing?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right.
That's an interesting thing.
Okay, we'll breeze
back to that.
We'll breeze on past it, because Nynaeve is also getting so annoyed by Moraine's seemingly endless amount of patience. Like a pond that would never ripple no matter how many stones you threw in it. And it just makes Nynaeve's blood boil.
And Nynaeve is the kind of person who's gonna throw stones in the pond.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just for the sake of it.
Yeah, and I just think maybe Nynaeve needs to chill a little.
You'd think so.
Just chill. Seriously. Calm down. Because you're not doing yourself any favor.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, Moraine's got, like, an infinite amount of patience here,
yeah.
so...
Well, and then we get some insight to that, because apparently some of the training that Nynaeve would receive in Tarvalon will help her control her temper. And I said, well, there must be some, like, anger management classes for her there.
Well, think about, like, having an Aes Sedai who's, like Moraine, like, cool, calm, collected, and then an Aes Sedai... Nynaeve, yeah.
Who's, like, angry, throwing fireballs at your face because you didn't answer her question well enough.
Yeah.
Like, no.
It's like you gotta be at a... It's like the... What's the thing from She's the Man with Amanda Bynes where she has to go to that thing at the end?
Oh, a debutante ball?
Yeah.
You think Nynaeve can be a debutante?
She's gotta be, like, all prim and proper and, like, which fork to use.
Oh my gosh, no. No. I don't think so.
I don't think she'd do well in that situation.
No, that's funny, though. Good reference. She could also probably just play soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, back to this. Moraine says that you can do nothing with the one power when emotion rules your mind.
Yeah, that seems like an important sentence.
And Nynaeve wants to argue with her because mostly emotion rules her mind.
Yeah.
And Moraine just cuts her off and says, Lan, we must speak. And they go off and put their heads together. And apparently this has been happening non-stop to Nynaeve, with her being just shut up or ignored or cut down. And she's feeling like a scolded schoolgirl by the women's circle.
And to be fair, she's not exactly acting in a nice manner. So I can understand where Moraine needs to, like, cut her off sometimes to, you know, keep a grain of sanity for herself.
And it's, like, not working. It's just pissing Nynaeve off more and more because Nynaeve isn't feeling like a respected equal like she wants.
Yeah.
You know?
But she has to understand that she's not an equal.
Yeah.
In this situation, she's not.
Yeah.
You need to follow along and follow directions, at least for the time being.
Yeah. But Nynaeve thinks about how she wants to do away with Moraine and just deal with Lan because he'd be better on his own and know how to handle himself.
Oh, yeah.
But then she, like, flushes.
Totally for that reason only.
Yeah.
That he could do better by himself.
Uh-huh.
It's like she's not feeling some kind of way.
Yeah, no. And that's funny. These are clearly, like, signs of attraction here.
Yeah.
But she just, like, puts it out of her mind and is angry at herself for thinking about it. And
comes back to that whole, what's the actual age difference here?
Yeah, I don't even know, and I don't know if it matters.
No, I agree that it doesn't matter, but it's just an interesting point.
I suppose so.
Okay.
Yeah. But sometimes here, Lan makes Nynaeve even more frustrated than Moraine did, simply by existing.
Yeah.
Like, he's getting under her skin, and she isn't quite sure how, because he barely speaks. And she notes that Lan didn't even speak during his, like, discussions with Moraine. And I don't know if this is sort of a thing about that telepathic connection, like back when I thought that maybe that existed.
Yeah.
Like, she can read his mind.
Yeah, maybe it's not exact, like, word-for-word translation of reading minds, but maybe it's like, we talked about Moraine feeling relieved when the boys came back.
Yeah.
So maybe that feeling of relief was what tipped Lan off that everything was okay.
Maybe, but here, Moraine speaks and Lan doesn't.
Yeah.
And the same with when they were riding from Terran Ferry, or riding to Terran Ferry, or whatever it was, and Moraine kept, quote, answering unasked questions of Lan.
So it's more of a one-sided...
It was, and we talked about this
Yeah.
before, about how I felt that maybe Moraine can read his mind in a way, or read his thoughts and feelings, because he doesn't have to speak out loud, and she does.
Okay. Yeah, so more one-sided.
Yeah, it's just sort of more of that.
Cool.
So Nynaeve describes their entire journey as mostly quiet, except for when she lets her temper get the best of her, and she shouts and yells and screams and throws little tantrums. I can just picture it. So she thinks that at first the silence and stillness is restful to her, sort of after everything that's happened since Winter Night, and eventually the silence starts to weigh on her, feeling like a crystal that is doomed to shatter. She thinks about how it's clearly weighing on Moraine and Lan too, even though they seem unperturbed.
Yeah, it's like too
word.
much silence is not a good thing.
Yeah, but that's a good word. I like it.
Unperturbed?
That's my word of the day. That's a good one. But she sees Moraine looking as if she's listening to things that aren't there, then frowning at whatever she hears. And Nynaeve notes that she can sense ripples in the back of her mind, much like when she would listen to the wind, but now she knows it has to do with the power, so she refuses to embrace it. And I don't know if this is going to spell trouble for her. Like, I don't know what happens to women if they try to suppress up the power.
Yeah.
That's, like, clearly trying to find her.
I would have to imagine that doesn't end very well either. If someone is trying to suppress the power.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of think of it, again, Harry Potter reference here.
Yeah.
With the animagus? No. The weird black ghost cloud. Obscurus, yeah.
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 That's from the new ones, the Fantastic Beasts movies.
Yeah, but that's something that's in like the Harry Potter universe where
Yeah.
if you suppress the ability too long, bad things happen.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking about too, but I'm not feeling well and I don't want to take a shot.
That's okay.
Okay, thanks. I'm drinking tea today instead of wine, in case anybody's wondering. My throat's sore. I hope I sound okay, but no, I'm going to forego the shot, but I'm going to agree with you on the Obscurus bit.
Okay.
If that.
Animagus is a thing, though, right?
Animagus is a thing. It's when people can change into animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Animagus. Animal. Gotcha. Yeah. Close enough.
No, not really, but that's okay. So, she asks Lan about what Moraine is hearing, and he says it's nothing, but then tells her that she should go back to the Two Rivers and it'll be much safer for her. So Moraine interrupts and says that, Nynaeve's part of the pattern, stop telling her to leave. And then she tells Nynaeve that it is the Dark One. She says that the storm has passed for now. And then I say, last chapter, ?
Yeah.
So we talked...
Shelter from the storm.
Right. So the storm has passed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the Dark One is still watching the world and his gaze is stronger.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that is interesting because we know that Nynaeve's listening to the wind ability. She's been off a lot. And you had the prediction that it had something to do with the evil or the Dark One that was affecting it.
Oh, you mean like the cold winter?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why she was like getting mixed signals for her reading the ability, like reading the weather.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that or the weather was just that unpredictable because of the evilness.
Yeah, like there's some correlation there for sure.
Yeah, there's something, I think. And also, I think this is happening either at the time or just after the time that the Fade is in Whitebridge.
Okay.
Right? That's what I'm thinking. Because we're sort of back in time slightly from when they arrive in Whitebridge. We know later in this chapter, when they arrive in Whitebridge, they're a day or two after the attack. And this conversation is happening before they arrive in Whitebridge. Yeah. So typically either on the same day or slightly later on that day or the next day that she's saying the storm has passed. So the storm might have been the, Dark One or whoever being able to find Matt Rand.
Yeah, like focusing in.
Yeah, and then the Fade going to attack. That could have been what the, I guess, magical sort of dark storm was.
And then since it wasn't successful in like killing or capturing Rand and Matt, then it's like past? Is that what you're implying? Okay.
Maybe, yeah, because they escaped once again.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of thing. So Lan and Moraine look around to scout which way they should go next, and Nynaeve describes it as if they are sort of looking for footprints in air.
Yeah, and we get the chapter title.
Yeah. And the scent of a memory. So now here is where we get to Whitebridge, and this crew crosses the giant Milky White Bridge into Whitebridge, and Nynaeve thinks that it looks like it should collapse at any moment as if lace were made of glass. That's what this would look like.
Yeah.
So just more interesting description of this like crazy, weird, giant bridge. So when they're halfway across the bridge, Nynaeve actually starts to smell sort of a char thickening in the air. And when she sees what's going on in the square, there are piles of burned timber and half a dozen buildings are scorched and still smoking.
Yeah, things happened.
Yeah, so this is clearly the aftermath of the Fade Tom fight. And this must have just happened. So I'm wondering how long it had been since the boys left. And I really want to know what happened there. But we really don't get very many answers.
We don't. We get a lot of speculation.
Right. So Lan sniffs the air and grimaces. And he looks very grim. And he can probably smell the Fade. Is what I'm thinking here at this point. Or smell that there was a Fade or something.
Yeah.
And Moraine gets off her horse and offers sympathy to the townspeople. And even though it looks like they would rather be anywhere else or talking to no one, they find themselves opening up to Moraine. So she's definitely, like, she has that way about her.
Yeah.
But I also think that she has an air of...
like authority?
Authority. But I also think she might have a magical way...
like an influence?
Of drawing people to her.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense where, like, she could, you know, make someone more inclined to, like, answer questions.
Yeah, so we find out that, like, most of these people are actually lying and saying that there was no trouble here at all. Just an overturned lamp that burned a few places. A simple fire by accident, but no burned building stands beside another burned building.
Yeah. And...
that reminds me of Emmonsfield.
Yeah, where it's like a targeted attack.
Yeah, random buildings sort of hit. Seemingly random.
Seemingly random, but not so random.
Yeah.
It is really interesting that there's so many different stories floating around. It's because the people are in such denial of what's happened.
Yeah.
And that's what it seems like anyways.
I also have a theory.
Okay.
So I just took a course over the last couple days. And in my course, it was mostly a statistics annoying, boring math course, but we also talked about something called inter-observer reliability.
Okay.
Or inter-rater reliability. And it's basically the idea that everyone sees things and remembers it sort of differently. Yeah. So it's something you need to take into account when you're looking at statistics. Okay. So it's why if you witness a horrible car crash, and the police are there, they will separate the witnesses. Yeah. They'll say, stand there, stay there, you come here, stay there. They'll make sure that the witnesses don't speak to each other.
Because that's going to pollute your story.
And it influences. And so the way that you remember something and you perceive something, even though you've seen the same thing as someone else, you've observed it differently. Yeah. I just find that a little bit interesting, and I think that might be a little bit of what's going on with these people. Sort of in the same way that Rand, Matt, and Perrin told their original dream a little bit differently. Yeah. Not that it was different, but they just remember it differently because each person is going to remember something slightly different.
Yeah, that makes sense why eyewitnesses are the least reliable source in a court.
Right. So somebody here actually talks about how there was a man in the town who was wielding the one power, and it's time to get an Aes Sedai in. And this is very popular among the women, and the men don't like this idea, but that's okay. Yeah. So some men say it was an attack from bandits, or others say that it was an attack from dark friends. But another nervous man says, we showed them. We went down to the docks and... But then he cuts off and runs away. So that's interesting because that sounds like the truth. Yeah. Like that's the first little bit of, okay, what did you do? Who did you show? Yeah. Was it the Fade? Because we know the Fade was asking about people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if the Fade said, have you seen these people? And this guy goes, yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring you to the boat that brought them in.
I'll show you. Yeah. Then, maybe that's what I'm thinking. But he runs away. And so Moraine, Nynaeve, and Lan start to piece together a story here. So a boat had gotten away, fleeing downriver only a day before while the mob poured to the docks. Yeah. So clearly that's when everyone was fleeing. Matt and Rand ran with a group to the gates and ran down the Camelin Road. But lots of other people, I guess, went to the docks to get on their boats to get away.
Well, and it looks like they were trying to mob... They were attacking the boat, it says. Like they mobbed the boat trying to get on board, and then Daman and his crew chopped the ropes and fled.
Right, okay. Yeah, but then a woman says that a gleeman had been on board the boat.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Is she saying that the gleeman was on the boat on arrival or on departure?
I'm hoping departure.
Which would mean that he's alive.
Uh-huh.
But it's not specific.
No, but I definitely... in my optimistic mind, didn't even consider that she'd be talking about before. Okay. So I put, maybe, just maybe, he's still alive.
Yeah, and then Daman was talking about heading down to Ilion.
Yes, exactly. And that's where Tom belongs anyway. He doesn't belong caught up in all of this business. But Nynaeve thinks for sure this has to be Tom Marilyn, and that maybe Egwene and the boys were on it as well. And she tells Moraine her theory, who listens patiently, but then Moraine says perhaps, but she sounds doubtful.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like the reason I thought Tom Marilyn was on the boat going, she said the Gleeman was on the boat, and Nynaeve interprets it as he got on the boat and went. And so that's why I interpret it as he got on the boat and went.
Yeah.
So,
and again, this is with all the misinformation being spread around.
Well, exactly. So. And it's like a literally puzzle pieced together story.
So that's the hard part.
Yes. So the three of them go into an inn that is still standing in the square because a bunch of buildings are burned down, right? And this inn has a shoulder-high wall in the middle of the common room.
Yeah, so clearly his way to describe the same inn.
Clearly the same inn that Rand, Matt, and Tom had been in. And then I say question mark the day before, and then we get confirmation on that. So Moraine pauses as they step into the inn, and she feels the air with her hand. So she clearly senses that they were here.
Yeah, so there's like some sort of magical residue almost.
Yeah, that makes sense. And especially because she smiles at what she feels, but says nothing of it. So they sit and eat their meals in silence. And when they are finished, actually, one of the town soldiers appears in the doorway, clearly doing some rounds, and is trying to act as though he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And Lan sees him and sort of snorts, "Militia, useless," which is funny.
Yeah, a little bit of Lan's pretentiousness there.
And bias.
Yeah.
But it's still funny to me.
Oh, yeah.
But this guy takes a big breath in order to summon up some courage to go and demand from these strangers what they are doing here and when they plan to depart.
Yeah.
So Lan says that they are leaving as soon as he finishes his ale, and then he says, "Light, illumine good Queen Morgase."
Yeah, so when they first arrived in town, we saw a little blurb where it said there was a bunch of men in ill-fitting red uniforms.
Yeah.
So obviously militia wouldn't have fitted clothes, obviously, because they're not regular soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the inn, when they're approached by this militiaman who's in red colors, Lan knows to say, light illumine good Queen Morgase, so we can assume that Morgase's colors are red.
Yeah, okay.
So we can kind of get the Queen's colors.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I wouldn't have picked that up at all, but good side note.
That's how he recognizes them.
Okay. So, I just thought for the fact that they're in Whitebridge and they're in Andor and she's clearly the queen of it,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is militia colors, you'd wear the color of your queen.
Sure, okay. Sounds good. So, Nynaeve wonders if this man is going to do something foolish in order to look brave in front of these two women. And in her experience, men are often idiots in that way. But I guess the look on Lan's face made him think twice about that, because he just says, "See that you do. Too many strangers around here the last few days to keep the queen's peace." So he turns on his heels and leaves. And Nynaeve asks if they are going to be going after the boat. And Lan looks to Moraine for the answer. But she says no, they'll be going after the boy they know is alive, who is north of here. Which is interesting, because now she's going off course and changing her idea.
Yeah, the original plan was to go after the two boys who lost their coins because they had no idea what happened to them.
Yes.
And they didn't know if they were captured or, possibly killed, who knows.
Yeah, and I think Moraine's little slight smile when they walked into the inn was her relief, knowing that the Fae didn't get them.
Yeah, so she has some sort of confirmation.
Yes.
And that makes sense why she changes paths now, because now she's like, okay, so I'm going to go collect the one who's still alive, and I know where they are, and then we'll all rendezvous back in Camelin.
Yeah. So she also says that she must find the one she can be sure of finding. And she also doesn't think that the two were on the boat. So Moraine says that they were in this room about a day ago, afraid but alive, and she can tell this because the emotion wouldn't have lasted this strong if they were dead.
Yeah.
So she knows they're still alive, which is why she's changing course. Nynaeve again questions Moraine about her choices, and she wants to know which two it is. And why won't we go after them if they're only a day away? And so no matter what Moiraine says, Nynaeve is
fighting.
Against.
Oh, yeah.
And Moiraine knows that they were here, but she can't say which way they went, so it's best to go after the one she knows for sure. Which is exactly what Nynaeve said in the first place, but now she's arguing it.
Yeah, it's just literally whatever Moiraine says, Nynaeve's going to be opposed to it.
Yeah. Yeah, she's being very oppositional and just disagreeing for the sake of disagreeing, sounds like. But anyways, the boys who lost their tokens, she will only know where they are when she is within half a mile of them. Like, exactly, like she won't be able to pinpoint them.
Yeah.
Because that's how faded the bond has gotten, I think.
It's an interesting point in chasing someone, too. Like, if the boys are only a day away, if you're both moving at the pace of a day per day... Like, it's going to take a long time to actually catch up with someone.
That's true.
So, like, if they're chasing Rand and Matt, they're going to meet up at Camelin anyways.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
They would have met up in Whitebridge.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for that damn fade.
Yeah.
But Moiraine says that she will find them in Camelin. And this is like a definitive statement. And I like it. Like, she's sure. Or maybe. But she will help the one she can for now. And I'm just thinking, like, this has to resonate with Nynaeve no matter how much she hates it. Like, Nynaeve is very for helping who you can help. That's, like, exactly what she said when she had to let Tam die and go help others. Like, it's word for word how Nynaeve feels.
Oh, yeah.
And she has to be able to, like, understand this without fighting it. You know?
Yeah, but again, that's the internal, like, inconsistency of Nynaeve, is that she thinks one thing and, says another.
But Nynaeve does try to argue, and Lan says that the boys had reason to be afraid because there was a half-man here and he can smell it.
Which is interesting. He can literally smell the fade.
Yeah, so we get confirmation on that. Moiraine says that she will keep hope until she knows it's gone. But Nynaeve won't give it up, and she asks about Egwene, saying that Moiraine never even mentions her and ignores her when she asks about Egwene. And this is where Moiraine loses her attitude a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And, she's clearly just this stone face, patience of a saint, but some things just trigger her.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, enough. Like, this is enough. She reminds me of that teacher who's so nice and sweet, and then when you piss her off, everyone goes, oh, holy shit.
Yeah, we crossed the line here.
Right, exactly, right? So there is a flash of anger, and the Aes Sedai speaks coldly. She says that she hopes to find Egwene, and she hopes she's alive and well, and she does not easily give up on young women with that much ability once she has been found.
And I believe that,
but
for sure.
It will be as the wheel weaves. And then Nynaeve thinks about herself as one of those young women that Moiraine won't give up on, and she thinks angrily, light burn you, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
So they head off out of Whitebridge down the Camelin Road with Moiraine scanning to the northeast and the smoke-stained town of Whitebridge cowering behind them.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting point that Moiraine, as much as she hopes that Egwene is still alive and well, her priority, coming back to it again, is 100% on opposing what the Dark One wants. Yeah. And from everything we can see so far, the Dark One doesn't really care much about Egwene, but he for sure is focusing on the boys.
Oh, yeah.
So that is 100% Moiraine's stance is get to the boys.
Right. And I think that she probably also has a sense that if she finds one or more of these boys, she'll probably also find Egwene.
Probably. Yeah. Like, that's a logical conclusion, too.
Yeah.
But again, it's that whole, do I really want to explain literally everything I do to Nynaeve, because Nynaeve's going to question her regardless.
That's true.
Even if Moiraine gives her all the answers and answers every single one of her questions.
She'll say, what about this? What about this? She'll find more to argue about. But I am really wondering about Moiraine finding Perrin and Egwene with Elias.
Yes.
Who fucking hates Aes Sedai.
And we know that Elias killed some warders at least.
Yes.
And I asked you that question, do you think that Elias knows or has met Lan or anything like that, or any other warders. Like, do all warders know each other?
Yeah, and I don't know. I just know that it's going to be interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and I'm excited to read on.
Yeah.
Because I know the next chapter, I don't even know what it's called, but I do know there's a picture of a wolf. I caught sight of that, and I'm excited. I'm hoping for the meetup.
Yeah, so chapter 29 is Eyes Without Pity.
Ooh.
Yeah, with a chapter symbol of a wolf.
Goodness. And then now I'm even more convinced that Tom survived and escaped.
Okay.
And I think we should leave on that positive note.
That is a good note.
So we'll leave it there, and I'm going to go do some reading.
Yep.
And we'll say that this is part of the pattern now.
It's part of the pattern.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Wheel Weaves. If you'd like bonus content, including bonus episodes and blooper reels, exclusive insider looks, super cool merchandise, access to our new Discord channel, and of course, to support us making great content, you can head to patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. Please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. It would really mean a lot to us and does actually make a really big difference. Tell your friends or anyone who might like us or anyone who's thinking of getting into the series who might want to follow along with us. You can find us on social media. There's more information on there and some fun pictures and tidbits. On Instagram at The Wheel Weaves Podcast or on Twitter at The Wheel Weaves Podcast. Thanks, as always, to Audionautics.com for the music, and thanks to you, awesome listeners.